Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Nikitinaknits. My name is Evgeniya and in this video I would like to speak about scarves, new scarves that were released in 2025. The reason to this video happening is that I have a very special yarn in my stash. I would say the most special yarn that I could ever have in my entire knitting life. That is coming in the next videos. But I had a very complicated task to find the perfect scarf for that yarn, and I was very surprised of how many new beautiful scarf designs were released in this year of 2025 yet, and I decided why not to share it with my beautiful knitting community. So grab your knitting, grab your favorite drink, in my case is some chai latte, and let's begin with some of my most favorite scarf knitting patterns of 2025. The first one is Lua Scarf by loveknit.nl. It is very recently released in October of 2025 right now, and it's so beautiful. I cannot stand these very beautiful branches that go along the scarf towards the neck, and these branches are basically beginning with some leaves or with some flowers. I would like to hear her explanation, but I couldn't find it in the description. Like, what did she mean exactly when creating this beautiful pattern? I love the fact that it's very minimalistic but interesting scarf at the same time, because we have stock in it and a very minimal amount of lace. So it's also great for beginners to try lace if you've never tried before on the scarf. That is not such a long project. And also I like that she added some gather stitch on the sides and in the bottom of the scarf to prevent from rolling inwards. So here we have the balance of everything: a little bit of lace, minimalistic stock in it, practicality because it's wide, it's very comfortable to wrap once around your neck, or you can even modify it to make it longer and wrap around your neck twice. So very interesting, simple pattern that is quite unique. Didn't see something very similar before. We're knitting with a sport weight yarn, which is a fingering plus lace on 22 stitch gauge with 4.5mm needles. The end measurement of the scarf is 126 centimeters in length and 22 centimeters in width. Regarding the yarn, she's using a Rosarius 4 lac and Rosarius 4 Aura, which is in mohair. I touched this yarn in the yarn shop, both mohair and lac. I don't like mohair because it's quite prickly in my taste, and I'm a sensitive person, and especially around the neck it's going to be so itchy, so I'm not going to go with this mohair. Instead I would use Lank mohair 21 from Lank, which is a very thin mohair, 375 meters per 25 grams, and it is very soft mohair. I will put on the screen how many microns it has, but it's one of the softest mohair that exists in the market. I have a sample in my stash. Very nice mohair, very beautiful colors as well. And when it comes to fingering, I would go with something else, because while I like a lac from Rosarius 4 and I touched this yarn in the yarn shop as well, it has 89% wool and 11% yak. I like it. It's soft, it's interesting, but I don't like that the yak is very visible in the texture. So you can clearly see where this yak, 11% of yak, was placed in the yarn, and that creates like the texture that I wouldn't like to see in a scarf. But I would go instead with Kremke Soul Wool 140 Merry Merino, which is very soft merino wool, soft as cashmere, and it is also quite drapey since it's quite a luster, shiny merino wool. This combination is so dreamy, it makes me already so happy, so I hope you can try it one day. The next one is Elisabeth Scarf by Lisa Hannes. It is very simple cable motif that is knit on 4.5mm needles with a DK weight yarn, and the recommended yarn is any of the cashmeres that you prefer: Cardiff cashmere, Lang premium cashmere, or Pasquale 628 cashmere. I just can't wait to touch this scarf if I ever knit it with cashmere. It is going to be so soft, so fluffy, so squishy, and these cables are quite nice because they're minimalistic but they're structured. They hold the structure of the scarf as well. They're warm, so that's why I think it's good for winter option, or maybe as a gift knit for Christmas if you want to knit it for someone. So there's not much going on, and these cables are very nicely facing each other, and I think it's also easy to knit without the cable needle. The scarf is presented in 3 sizes, and it has 35 stitches per 10 centimeters in cable motif. I think it could be perfect for winter, for spring, and for autumn, depending on the color choices. Like for Christmas, of course, I would choose red or green, like Christmas tree green, or very slightly blue or white color. For autumn, of course, is teal, golden, and deep red colors. If you decide to knit this scarf in cashmere, I strongly suggest Pasquale Cashmere 628, and I'm actually partnering with this brand. So if you buy any of their yarns, including cashmere, through my link, I'm going to get a small commission at no cost to you. And I think few balls for the scarf. It's not so pricey, which makes it also a perfect gift knit for yourself or for someone that you love. Warm, soft. I have goosebumps when I'm speaking about it. The next one is completely different style, but really beautiful. It is Vyshyvanka by Olga Putano Designs. Olga Putano is a Ukrainian designer that lives in the US. I'm also Ukrainian, so it makes me always smile when I get a chance to speak about a Ukrainian designer. So Vyshyvanka is a traditional clothing where we embroider by hand our t-shirts, different vests, even sweaters. So she tried to represent the stitch pattern of embroidery on her shawl. I thought at first that is a mosaic knitting, but no, it's actually just switching between gather stitches, slip stitches, stockinette, and changing color. So you start at the center of the scarf from the top, and you start to increase in the center and on the every other row in the sides of the shawl, and this way you expand the width and you grow the shape on the whole shawl. It's designed in only one size, 127 centimeters in the width and 49 centimeters in the length. It is 22 stitch gauge on 3.75 millimeter needles, and the recommended yarn is Miyak Baby Camel. Baby Camel, I never tried in my entire life. I can only think and dream about this yarn, how it feels on the hand. From Miyak Fibers, Tibetan Fibers, I only tried their Baby Yak medium, which feels so amazing. I'm actually going to show the finished object with that yarn in one of my future podcasts. So if you would like to see, you can subscribe and, look forward for that video. I cannot even imagine how this yarn feels. Please let me know if you try this yarn, because I'm very curious, and I've heard that it's very soft and very warm, because camels, they have to walk in a desert. They have to preserve a lot of temperature, like very cold at night temperature and very, very hot during the day. This scarf is so interesting. Look at these beautiful holes that are created by the yarn overs. We have this line on the top of the scarf and in the middle, and when you're wearing the scarf, it kind of falls along your shoulder slope. I really like this effect. Plus we have this texture. You can do it with the color or without the color, just plain color. I don't know, you can decide how much color you want in this scarf. For example, you can only use it at the edge. You see there is this beautiful line. If I would want a very minimalistic scarf, for sure I would go with very low contrast colors. Wonderful creation from Olga Putano, and I'm only looking forward to knit it up one day. The next one is very structured, very cozy and squishy, which is Noah Scarf by Studio Analyst. This is a DK weight scarf with 22 stitch per 10 centimeters, knitted on 4mm needles. The structure is very cozy and interesting. It is pearl and knit stitches just alternating between each other. It reminds me of little pearls or little leaves that are spread along the whole scarf. And also we have a very neat and beautiful edge of the scarf that probably also prevents it from rolling inwards or outwards. Very nice, perfect winter scarf that is presented in 2 sizes. And there is no recommended yarn, so I went into Ready Objects on Ravelry and just saw what people knit it with. I saw the version with drops extra fine merino wool. It is quite a nice yarn. It is a superwash wool. I'm knitting right now a blanket with this. I like it. Actually, it doesn't feel so much like superwash. Let's say if I compare it to Double Sunday by Sandlines Scarf, it almost feels the same. So that could be an option if you enjoy this very smooth texture that is going to have quite a lot of drape and a bit of shine to the scarf. I personally don't really like this type of structure in the scarf. I prefer something a bit more fuzzy, a bit more soft. Well, Drops Extra Fine Merino is soft, but it doesn't have this fluff on top of it, which is one of my favorite things when it comes to coziness and warmth. So I would go with something else, and I would go with Woven Pure Cashmere. This cashmere was produced with collaboration with Todd and Duncan factory that has over 150 years of experience in producing finest cashmere. I know, and I'm familiar with the fact that Todd and Duncan are one of the best in the world of producing cashmere, and I'm of course looking forward to Woven Pure Cashmere one day that was also produced in Scotland. And while this scarf has no really special features about it, I still cannot get away from it. Like, it's always in my head for the last week. I'm thinking about it, I'm dreaming of the colors, and we've seen so many different structured scarves, and none of these really went so deep into my heart. So I'm dreaming to knit it in raw and pure cashmere, and I hope you can knit it one day too. The next one is very special. First, because of the author, and second, because of the yarn that I'm going to recommend. So it is a Star Jasmine mini scarf from Ksenia Naden, which is a Ukrainian woman that lives in the US. I'm impressed with her work. I once saw the interview with her and the way she approaches her work, and how excited she is when choosing the yarns and the patterns itself. Unfortunately, her style of most of her garments is not my personal style, but some of the items I would need for sure. And I spoke about one of her designs of the garments in my Ukrainian knitting pattern roundup, the patterns that are available in English, and I would need for sure that gorgeous wrap. So check it out if you haven't seen that video. The link is going to be in the description box. So recently she has released this beautiful scarf in two sizes. One is a very mini scarf, and the second is more like a one wrap around your neck scarf. I think it's perfect for winter and also for the gift knitting because it's very small and takes not so much time, but looks very special and elegant at the same time. She says that the scarf reminds of a smell of star jasmine flowers, and I love jasmine. I have the essential oils with jasmine. I love the flowers of the jasmine. Every time we go with my family to Carpathian Mountains, we have a lot of jasmine trees there in Ukraine, and I'm smelling them all, and I cannot believe how beautiful this tree is. It is composed with 2x1 rib and some sort of different manipulations to create this beautiful stitch pattern, and it is knitted together with an I-cord at the same time, so you don't need to work it separately with a crochet hook. So the recommended yarn is two options, and I have my third option that is extremely special. Anyways, the first option from the designer is Ito Kino, which is 100% barrette silk, held together with Ito Sensai, which is a very thin silk mohair. It has like 300 meters per 20 grams. Ito is a Japanese company that produces very high quality yarns with very amazing color palette. I swear I could knit a lot from them just because of the colors. But I would not go with Ito Kino because it's a barrette silk, and I see this scarf in the warm tone and mood. I cannot see, well, actually I can see because somebody knitted this scarf in Knitting for Olive pure silk, and I just don't like the texture and the structure. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know. Let me know if you think differently. I would replace Ito Kino with Ito Kosho, which is a 90% super soft merino wool and 10% cashmere. It is carded wool, which is very lightweight and squishy and soft, so that would be a good alternative. So let me be not so humble and offer you something extremely special. Have you ever tried muskox yarn? This is a very huge animal that lives in Canadian tundra and Greenland, and this animal could sustain the temperature up to -50 degrees Celsius. This animal is very interesting, and that looks actually like a bull or more close to a cow family, but actually I researched, and this animal is way closer to the goat in its genes than to cows. And I'm really looking forward to explore this type of topic, like learn about the animals that are very exclusive, very special animals from which we can actually ethically extract the fiber without harming them or damaging the reproduction of their species. So I think you're very interested until I'm telling you the price. So 116 euros for 20 grams. I'm sorry, but I have to offer you this option because this little scarf of this design only requires 91 meters. One skein of 22 grams gives you exactly 90 meters. And you actually have to knit with bigger needles because the yarn is a bit thicker than the recommended yarn from designer, and that will give you a bit bigger size of the mini scarf. So let's look at her mini sample. It is very short, it's like how many centimeters? 90 centimeters in length, and if you take a bit thicker yarn, which is musk ox, and thicker needles, obviously, the scarf is going to be a bit bigger and wider. So as you can see, you can wrap once around your neck and you'll have these very beautiful triangles, and the scarf holds the shape really well, so you can see the structure so nice. What's so special about musk ox? It is so fuzzy, so fluffy, and probably extremely soft. I'll be honest, I've never tried musk ox in my life, and it is my dream. to try it one day. The yarn is called Alaska 3 and it is sold by Pasquale and it is produced by Pasquale. So they source the yarn, of course, from Canada because this is the only place that they exist. I'm also partnering with them and I'm so happy because I don't want to partner with anyone that I wouldn't purchase from myself. So if you decide to gift yourself such a gorgeous gift, please buy it through my link because I'm going to receive a small commission from your purchase at no cost to you, obviously. And I will for sure knit with this yarn as well. They have two options, Alaska 3 and Alaska 2. Alaska 2 is a way thinner option that is knit on 2.5 millimeter, and Alaska 3 is knit on 4.5 millimeter needles, and it really blooms after block, and with each block you will receive more and more fluff on your garment, on your little garment. I always suggest to buy from reputable companies that you really trust, that follow all of the certification process, and that you can really be sure that it's not a fake product or that it's not a cruel source of yarn, if this matters to you. It's very important for me. I can't imagine, buying and contributing to something that is interrupting their species or being cruel to the animals or to even people that work in the farms and so on, all of these things. Oh, how am I supposed to speak about other projects where I just spent all of my energy on this gorgeous pattern? The next one is Isla Shawl by Vyshyvanka. Vyshyvanka is a very small yarn company, a Scandinavian family that is settled in France, and they're producing both the yarn and the patterns. They keep it simple and they constantly follow their own style, which I always appreciate both in designers, knitters, and yarn producers. So we're having Isla Scarf. Unfortunately, I don't see what size is that. It is only presented in one size. I don't know, maybe it's mentioned in their website, but on Ravelry it doesn't say anything. But as we can see, it is a triangle that we can just tie in the front or maybe use it as a bandana sometimes. I don't know how easy it would be to modify the pattern. I wouldn't do so. But even at this little size, I really like that. And there are different color combinations that attract me so much. Of course, the first one that just grabbed my attention is this light blue, almost unsaturated blue with red. And red is also very interesting. It's not like screaming red, but it's very muted red that just combines so well with white color lines and the blue base color. I think it's also very wearable indoors, like with just white t-shirt or white blouse. Not necessarily always have to be worn outdoors because it's very small scarf that accentuates your look quite a lot. So you decide how you're gonna wear it. Also, we have pastel color combinations that are also very beautiful, and it is a color work scarf. I don't know if there's any other techniques mentioned. I actually had to go to a Ravelry finished objects and actually see how it's knit because couldn't see in the description the whole idea of how the scarf is knit. So there's color work. I don't know if there's a mosaic knitting, and for sure there's some lines of just switching the color. There's texture, there's colors, and there is loftiness from the yarn itself. Of course, the recommended yarn is from them is Vyshyvanka Le Petit Slumpswool, which is a fingering weight yarn, and that is also used a lot for color work because it's very sticky, it blooms a lot with blocking, and it is really lightweight. So I don't know how soft it is towards the skin. I've heard different reviews, never touched this yarn myself. I would not risk with my sensitivity to wear it next to my skin, I'll be honest. So instead, I would go with something else. I would go with a new yarn that was just recently released in last month of 2025, which is 90 Varas by Wool Dreamers. I've touched this yarn in 2 yarn shops, and every time I did that, I was holding the skein and didn't want to let it go because it was so soft. It was so textured, so squishy. It has some sort of melange effect to it. It has some tweed, different speckles of different colors in the skein. It is so soft towards the neck. I was constantly like holding it next to my neck, and I couldn't buy it because I have so much yarn that is waiting for me. I just don't want to keep buying more. I came home and I kept thinking about this yarn. I was thinking of different color combinations. Every color that they have is so interesting, so complex, so deep. So I would use that yarn. It is also fingering weight yarn, and I just imagine that it also blooms after wash. And it also has this uneven structure and loftiness that the Bichet Bush Le Petit Lambs wool has. So I think it's a perfect alternative. So what else to say? It's knit on 3.5 millimeter needles with 24 stitch per 10 centimeters. And I guess if you want a different size, you can experiment with different thickness of the yarn. Just pick thicker yarn, bigger needles, and you will achieve a bit bigger size. So I dream to try it. It is also really nice for beginners to try color work if you've never tried before. And I'm just very looking forward to how can I implement this beautiful scarf into my wardrobe. The next one is Netta Scarf by Maria Zablikova. The scarf is a part of the Leaf collection that she has. She has a sweater and a cardigan, and this is a very long, very feminine and elegant scarf that is finishing probably next to your hips. I don't know, let me check. Yeah, it actually does finish next to your hips if you follow the gauge and the recommended amount of yarn. And it is a perfect project to use up the leftover of mohair if you can tolerate towards the neck. So this scarf is knit very fast on 5 millimeter needles with only 2 strands of silk mohair. Or another yarn recommendation is Lamana Roma, which is 80% cashmere and 20% silk. Lamana Roma has a very interesting structure. It's like very small, thin strands of silk that is slightly spun together, and the fluff of cashmere is somehow attached and rubbed, slightly rubbed with this silk. Very interesting. I'm very curious to try this yarn, but I have to say that I don't really like this yarn in this specific pattern. I think that 5 millimeter needle is too much for this yarn and it's not going to hold the shape so well. So I would use this yarn in different patterns, either on small needles or held double, but then you can't really see these beautiful leaves because the yarn is going to be too heavy and too drapey. So I would go with silk mohair recommendation, but if I would like to add some texture to that, I would go with a mix of fibers. So I would go with 2 strands of mohair that you can tolerate towards your neck. In my case is Isair mohair, I could easily tolerate, or I would go with something even more interesting to add a little bit of structure and to hold the shape of the leaves a bit better and to experiment for different fibers as well. We could go with Pasquale Manada. It's a mix of mohair, wool, yak and silk, and visually it has very similar structure to something in between brush alpaca or pseudo alpaca and mohair. So very interesting creation from Pasquale, 2 strands held together. So what type of functionality we can expect from this scarf? I think it's perfect for just the beginning of cold times when you're still wearing, I don't know, a cardigan or something light and you just want to add some elegancy and a little bit of warmth to your look. Or when it's already spring, let's say April or May, depending on where you live, you can find a suitable month to wear this scarf. In my case, it's September or May, as I already said, because April and all of the other months could be quite cold to use this scarf for. Also, this scarf is perfect to use indoors. Let's say you go to the theater or to Philharmonic or Christmas or birthday. Of course, it makes it a beautiful gift knit for the Christmas or for any other special event on 5 millimeter needles, and you get actually something long and big that is very visible and looks like it was a lot of effort, but it wasn't, and it's actually very beautiful. All right, how about one more quite effortless fast knit that still keeps you engaged? It is Sandlines Scarf by Greta Manson. Very simple but interesting scarf that is knit with Aran weight yarn that is going to go by quite fast. Again, very perfect for those who never tried cables or who feel afraid of them. Mostly it's about beginners, or maybe you think that you don't like cables much, and that's a chance for you to try because it's going to knit up so fast. It is presented in only one size of 140 centimeters in length and 23 centimeters in width. So this scarf is perfect for winter. It is going to be warm because cables makes it even more cozy and structured and dense rather than stockinette or lace like before. We can wrap it once around our neck, tie up here, and we will have these very long triangles falling on our chest. What's also nice about the scarf is the edging. Again, we have this gather stitch that is protecting the scarf from rolling inwards or outwards, and visually it makes the cables pop up even more. That looks very beautiful and structured. The cables are extremely simple. I think it's 2 purl stitches and then 2 stockinette stitches that are then cabled together every 3rd row or so. So what about the recommended yarn? It is worsted from Malabrigo. I would not go with this yarn because it is a single ply yarn and I don't like this type of yarns. The roving yarn, it is just one single span of fibers together that is very prone to wearing out really quick, and I just don't like how it looks, neither in stockinette, neither in ribbing, neither in cables. I just don't like it. What about Cardiff Cashmere Large? Yarn that I'm dreaming to try as well, because I tried Classic, which is a sport weight yarn, and Cardiff Cashmere Large is way thicker. It is 56 meters in 25 grams, and I already researched that for this scarf, to complete the project, you will have to buy 4 balls of yarn, and you should have some leftovers, so maybe you can, count somehow that you can use up the entire yarn. Usually what I do is I knit until the middle of the scarf, then weight it. You should have some good sort of scales that could measure jewelry or coffee to know exact amount of grams that you used, and then from there you can already decrease to the end of the scarf, so you make sure that you use up the whole yarn. Imagine this cabled scarf in this very thick cashmere that has some sort of chain structure to it, and that actually blooms a lot with blocking and washing, and this type of yarn wears out perfectly. I have a whole sweater in it, and I'm wearing this sweater constantly, and there is barely peeling on this fluffy yarn, so I do think that they made a really good job on creating such yarn. Do you like Sophie Shawl from Petite Knit? Is this very thick, big garter stitch shawl. I'm not mentioning obviously Petite Knit in this pattern because for sure you saw her patterns and you know this scarf, but I'm offering you to take a look at Perfect Wave Scarf by Wool Addicts Design Team by Lank Yarn Company. This is also kind of a shawl, but it doesn't have these triangle ends, it has normal squared ends, and it is also a garter stitch with an I-cord edgings, but you have waves. I imagine it's formed with increases and decreases, and it's very basic but engaging and super warm and cozy. Also, it is extremely long. Let me check the length. 180 centimeters in length and 26 centimeters in width. Good news, that is knit on 7mm needles, so extremely fast, and you can pick the yarn that you can enjoy and have so much fun wearing it. I would for sure wear it maybe just open like that, just like in the picture, or maybe wrapped around my head once. It's going to just be super warm and cozy. I cannot stop thinking on all of the yarns that I could use for this project. And when choosing the yarn, we should be quite smart because the scarf is really long. It could be too heavy or too drapey. And we also have garter stitch that stretches quite a lot with time, with wearing and blocking. And with this huge volume, we should be really careful what type of yarn we pick. So the suggested yarn is from Lank, from Wool Addicts series, of course, and it is called Memory. Memory is a very thick chain yarn with 88% super soft merino wool and 12% nylon. So nylon, it is only this chain, and the merino, it is what fills up that chain. So I personally don't really like this choice for this project because anything that is this chain and light feathery airy structure does not hold the shape. And garter stitch, as I already said, stretches with time. So merino wool is also not so sticky to each other, and that's why it's going to be drapey and flowy. And as we can see in the picture where the woman is wearing the scarf that is wrapped, I can already see how drapey it is on these foldings of the yarn. You can really see that. So I was thinking quite a lot, what could I use instead? And I decided that the yarn has to be very lightweight, very thick, and also when it comes to fiber, it has to be some sort of alpaca and some sort of, I don't know, sticky lamb's wool or Shetland, but Shetland is not blown. So I had a lot going on in my mind, and I thought that there is no more perfect option than Gepard Puno. It is 68% baby alpaca, 22% wool, and 22% polyamide. Again, polyamide is this structure because it also has similar idea, like this cord, not like a chain, but the cord that is filled with these fibers. And brushed alpaca is very sticky and very lightweight as well. The fabric that we're going to achieve is very fuzzy, a very squishy fabric that is going to be sticky to each other, and that is not going to have so much drape to that. I also consider it quite lightweight because in 50 grams we have 110 meters, and we knit it on 6 to 8mm needles. This yarn is lighter than Wool Addicts Memory that is recommended in the pattern. So I'm really looking forward to knit this scarf one day with this yarn, and I touched this yarn in the yarn shop. I'm constantly touching it when I'm coming to my local yarn shop because it's so squishy, so warm, and when you hold it, you just like hold a little bunny in your hand, you know. It's not as soft as bunny, but it is so cozy as bunny. The next one is Mountain Top Wrap by Lisa Hans as well, that was mentioned before today. She creates beautiful scarves. I would actually mention so many from her, but this one is another one that actually grabbed my attention so much. Probably what attracts me is this very barely visible texture, the lines that create the beautiful triangles, and a very neat thick edging. I don't know if it's I-cord or just some sort of side edges. I believe it's an I-cord. really beautiful, and it is a fully reversible scarf, which is always a plus for me. If you don't want to constantly, put the scarf in the way that it's not going to roll out so you don't see the wrong side, here you don't worry, you just put it the way you want because it's just knit and purl stitches that create those beautiful lines. And what's good about the pattern, first, that it's written and charted at the same time. Thank you. Second is that she gives you instructions on how to adapt this pattern to a different gauge and different yardage that you have available, which makes it perfect for a scrap yarn project. It is knitted with a DK weight yarn with 20 stitches per 10 centimeters, and the needle size is used 4.5 millimeters. The recommended yarn is Cardiff Cashmere Classic, which is a sport weight yarn in my opinion. For the scarf, it's not a big deal. I think it could also work as a DK. So I would go for sure with Cardiff Cashmere Classic, but as I already said, just because I tried this yarn, I'm looking forward to trying Pasquale Cashmere 628. So I was curious how much yarn you actually need. So for the big scarf, you need 7.5 balls of cashmere, Pasquale cashmere, and for the small one you will need 1.76 balls of yarn. I like that she mentions the instructions on how to use all of the yarn that you have, so we can actually buy the yarn and use it all for this project to make it bigger, basically to use up more yarn. Beautiful scarf that is going to be wearable for many years because of this minimalistic design, and that is for sure going to be knitted one day for my wardrobe. The next one is Anabelle Scarf by Cat and Stitches. Cat and Stitches is actually a YouTube channel, and the woman behind it is Katarina. This pattern was released in September of 2025, and I don't know how I missed on that one. Maybe because I was too focused on garments, and I actually released the whole video on September knitting patterns, my favorite picks, and check it out if you haven't. This is a gorgeous design that combines all sorts of texture. You have garter stitch for simplicity and minimalism in a way, you have the cable in the middle, and then you have the lace pattern motif. So you can try it all. You can rest your mind with garter stitch, you can practice some lace and practice some tiny cable in the design. Or actually there are two cables, and on the side you either have an I-cord or some sort of thick edge stitches that produce some structure and prevent from rolling outwards. The scarf is presented in one size only, which is 116 centimeters in length and 29.5 centimeters in height, and it is a fingering weight yarn on 3.5 millimeter needles. What's really good about the pattern is that it is very nicely written, like it's her first design, but I'm really impressed by the way it is presented, and it's actually written and charted, which is really nice for the first design being released. It is knitted with Easier Alpaca 2, which is a blend of 50% alpaca and 50% merino wool. I've touched this yarn in the yarn shop, and actually my friend knitted the whole neck warmer with that yarn. It is very pleasant. I cannot say that it's very prickly to the neck. What is actually impressive about the yarn is first how high quality it is and how cost effective it is. I don't think it's very expensive for what it offers, and their color palettes, especially in this Alpaca 2 yarn. Oh my god, whenever I'm entering the yarn shop, we have this yarn presented, I'm always just staring different interesting shades. Some of them have melange effect to them, and that is a very good choice for this shawl. Anyways, enough speaking about my excitement. I don't know if this video was more excited about yarn or the patterns. Let me know how's the impression. I feel like I'm speaking way more time about the yarn rather than about the pattern. But still, it is how it is. It is my passion. I'm in love with fiber, and my excitement is only growing. My love towards wool is only growing. Hopefully my stash does not keep growing, because I'm actually going to Barcelona Knits Festival. Let me know if you're going. I hope you're going, and I'm excited to see so many people, designers, yarn producers, people, knitters. So let me know what is on your needles right now. I'm always curious to go through the comments and get inspired from you, so we have like two sides conversation. It was very nice to chat about scarves with you. Thank you again, and I'm hoping to see you soon in my next video.